We're sharing our viewpoints of expeditions.
Hey gang, thanks for joining us at Tantrum House Studio 3. I'm Will.
I'm Melissa.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Kevin, and we are sharing our viewpoints of expeditions from Stonemaier Games. This video is divided into 4 categories. There is theme, likes, dislikes, and then final thoughts. But before we do that, let's do a quick overview from Melissa.
Expeditions is a standalone game in the Scythe universe for 1 to 5 players that takes about 1 to 2 hours to play. It's designed by Jamie Stegmaier and published by Stonemaier Games. A strange meteorite has crashed into Siberia, spreading corruption through the land. You and the other players lead competing expeditions to study it and profit from it. During the game, you'll choose actions which allow you to move your mech to locations, to gather valuable resources and rewards from location tiles, and to play cards from your hand. You'll need specialized workers to activate the abilities on your cards. And the more guile and power you have, the more corruption you can vanquish. As you progress, you can boast of your achievements to place glory stars. The end game is triggered when a player places their 4th star. Once the game ends, players count up their points, represented by coins, and the player with the most wins.
So our first question is, have we all played Scythe?
Yes.
Yes.
So speaking of theme, I think there are a lot of similarities to Scythe. There's the glory stars, there's the characters, they're not mechs now, they're actually cards that you have that everyone starts with, and then I feel like even the token that you're moving on your board is a little similar. Inside, you're moving it to take an action, but in this one, you're moving the token to take the other actions, which I find interesting.
Yeah.
Any other similarities?
So action selection in both versions.
Right, so that was mechanical similarities. Obviously, thematically, it's in that same universe.
Yeah.
You are using the mechs, which is cool. You are moving your people around, and you have the option to... I guess in this one, you don't have the option to fight. We're not actually attacking each other.
Nope, you're just denying spaces that people want to go on.
Yeah, that's true. hogging that important spot.
No, but yeah, you're moving your mechs. I think you move a lot more in this game than in original Scythe.
Yeah, or at least you can. You're motivated to.
Mm-hmm.
You don't necessarily have to. In the original, in this one, it's like you aren't going to win. If you
This happens after the war, so the characters are the same ones in Scythe, but now the war that happened in Scythe is over.
Yeah, I definitely feel like the Scythe theme comes through, not only the ways we talked about, but just like it just feels like you're
it
in
fleshes out that universe a little bit more for sure.
Say?
Is there any meteorite stuff in the original? I don't remember that, right? So that's a new element, and that's really kind of one of the main portions of the game is what are you doing to those things? Melding them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's a lot of new pieces that come just from that one piece of storyline, which is kind of interesting.
I'm not a theme first person,
Right.
so I'm delving into the mechanics, but I don't know that I really felt like I was, I'm using these type of workers for these types of cards, or I'm doing something mystical with this meteorite, or these are possessed workers.
It definitely felt...
It was like, I need a purple worker for this card, a green worker for this card, I need to go up the orange track.
Yep.
So I didn't really feel like I was vanquishing corruption or clearing the land.
I
but
agree.
that's fine, because I don't need to feel that.
Right.
I just need the mechanics to work well.
The mechanics did work well, but I do agree with Melissa. The mechanics, it felt in this game, were a little bit bigger than the theme. I think the mechanics were overshadowed the theme, I think, in this game.
Yeah, I generally agree with that. I do think that a lot of people were... I was drawn to Scythe in the first game originally just by the art. When they started showing that art, I was like, I don't care what kind of game this is. I want to play it. It looks amazing. This one does... I did kind of like some of the mech mechanics. So when you're refreshing, you're shutting down systems or whatever the idea is, that's a pretty standard mech mechanic, I think. And it did have the idea of exploring the land as you went out further. So there were some theme elements, but like any Euro style game, it's gonna be more about the mechanics than it really is the bad guy smashing each other.
I will say one more thing about the theme. Inside, you don't see a lot of the artwork. I mean, there is some. Remember, like I forget what those sort of exploration cards are called, but you can like supposed to show them to like
it's a little bear.
Yeah, I mean that's a cool part of the side, showing everybody. But in this one, you actually are collecting those cards and putting them in front of you, so you do get to see the art a little bit more. I think in this game.
I agree with that.
Why don't we move to our
Likes?
likes first?
I like the art. I like the art before Scythe was a thing.
Right?
Well, before it was even like
Yeah.
announced.
And I like, each hex has its own art, and all the cards are real nice to look at.
Oh, I kind of like this, and it goes along with the theme a little bit. Will and I, we had a card. Each of us had different cards. They are but it used the same hex. I think it was a quest that we were both going after.
Yes, yep.
And the hex was like a scrapyard, and our cards were like doing something like salvaging a mech in the scrapyard. I was like, oh, like there is some like connection there. I kind of thought that was really good.
It made sense that quest was for that.
It wasn't just like, oh, this quest is for 1, this quest is for 2, and
Right, and I would assume that's probably the case on all of them.
Sure.
That was the moment when the light bulb went on, and it was like, oh, yours is on 5 and mine is on 5? Weird, that's, and they make sense? Okay, I see what they're doing.
I did feel like I liked that there was so many ways you could get glory tokens out and redeem them, and also other ways to get points, but it wasn't so many or disjointed that it was hard to focus.
Okay.
Which a lot of times I just get overwhelmed with, I can't keep track of what should I be focusing on right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say one of my favorite things about the game is the way you can combo. I don't think is the right word. It's not even chaining, but finding cards that work well together and being able to exploit them. Last time I played, my character didn't give me free workers. Some other people could play it and get a worker. I didn't have that ability, so I only had a few workers during the game. But I was able to get a card that let me discard cards to use the ability, so I didn't need workers. So I'm like, oh, I don't need to ever pick up a red worker because I can play this card, which I do have the worker for, and then discard this. So finding unique combinations of ways to work the system and work around your limitations. And I enjoyed that puzzly aspect of it.
I would say something similar to that. I always enjoy a game where you are given, you're dealt whatever you're dealt, and then you have to make the best of it. I think this game leverages that even more, like you were saying, because you start off with a slightly unique mech power, you start off with a slightly unique player power, and so finding the other cards that are going to complement that is like the main challenge of the game. And if you don't do that well, which I didn't, then you're going to pay for it in the end. So you do have to like be reading all the cards that are out on the board. You have to be looking for that one, hoping the guy next to you doesn't take it. And so there is some nice like rise and fall in tension. I mean, I always hate it, but I also love that it happens when you're playing the game. You're like, no, I needed that card. I'm like, why are you sweeping it? That was the one I've been waiting for. That emotional is like a good part of the game.
I really, really like games that have player powers and that are unique to like what other people have. And this game really does something interesting. So you have the different mechs that you're controlling, and they all have a special power, but then everyone also gets a character with a companion that also has a special power. So it's almost like every game is a little different. Even if you play with the same mech, you also get a different player or character with that companion. And I really find that combination very intriguing. I've never really seen that before, where it's like combination of player powers.
Yeah. On top of that, I think the replayability in this is high, which I think a lot of people will like because your tiles are going to flip differently. The cards that actually come out are going to be different. I didn't actually look at how thick the deck was or how far we actually made it through. Yeah. But so many different cards with different powers and different things going on. It's going to be a different strategy path, I think, every time to victory.
I also like the puzzly nature that Melissa was talking about. Playing it now multiple times at 2, 4, and 5 players, I do actually think I like it at like the lower player counts, and I'll tell you about that why during my dislikes.
Dislikes. So my dislikes, 3 points.
Okay.
The one that you just touched on, I don't think it scales well. It's a totally different game, 2 to 5.
Yeah.
Because in 5 you're all in each other's way, and the one thing I don't like is the refresh action, because you don't interact with other people when it's their turn.
Mm-hmm.
So when you know you're going to have to refresh on your next turn, you take your turn, you say, I'm going to refresh, and then you
I'll be
leave
back in
to
10
a 5-player game, and you go play another game, come back, and then it's still only been one round.
It's true. It says 60 to 90 minutes. I know Melissa in your review said 2 hours. I would definitely say for a 5-player game, you're pushing that 2 hours. But it does play right around that. Even if you know how to play, we had some people who knew how to play and didn't know how to play. I think 2 hours was right about that number. But 2 players, you can definitely play it in an hour.
Yeah. My second point
Number
is
2.
I think it's very heavily luck dependent on what you're going to flip, what cards are going to be available, and what you're going to draw. So you can just stumble into an amazing combination like I did the first time I played, or you can stumble into like, oh, I just wasted, I only get 2 actions and I wasted one of them because there wasn't anything available to do. And that just, it hurts. It hurts here.
I think that goes number 2 with Ryan. I think that
Okay, I'll jump in a little bit and then you can go. One of the
Save the best for that.
This isn't a huge dislike for me, but I think it could be a dislike for other people, and that is your experience is going to vary based on the cards that come out and how well you are at finding things that synergize. So I've had 1 or 2 games where it was like, whoa, mountaintop, exhilarating, awesome. And then I've had a game that was pretty frustrating because I'm like, nothing is working. So as long as you're okay with knowing that there's gonna be that volatility, you're gonna have some games where it just feels awesome, and you're gonna have some games where it's like a struggle and a fight, and you may never get it all working together. If you're okay with that, then that's what it is. That's what's going to be happening. And some people aren't going to be okay with that.
Yeah, I think I had a similar experience, and I usually do very much enjoy the type of game. Everdell is kind of in that same boat where, like, whatever cards come up, you might get a great hand, you might not. And I like the trial, the struggle of, can I play the best I can? But I feel like in Everdell, that point swing is pretty low, and so even if I screw up, I only lost by like 5 points or whatever.
Right, and this one,
you're like, how did you get 180 and I got 30? Like, am I an idiot? Like, what did I do wrong? So I do agree, I could be an idiot. Or it could also just be the swing is bigger,
it is,
so it seems more meaningful.
And you're seeing like that person be like, they just did like 3 things on their turn and I'm doing the same.
And I rested.
Right. Well, not only that, or refresh. It's like, but I feel like I meld or something, and all of a sudden, like, why can't I also do this, and this, or something? Because you just, like you said earlier,
like item cards can give you a bunch of extra things.
Yeah.
Some of your
so it can just be a little bit of a dislike.
Yeah.
One of my dislikes in the game are the map tiles. They're south, central, and north, and they're going out in sort of like a pattern. They're randomized in those sections, but they're never ever different. And I played it now a few times, and I feel like, oh, it'd be nice if there was just like 1 or 2 extra of each of those different locations. So I'm like, ooh, what did we get this time at this map, sort of thing, just to get a little bit more variety.
That has to be coming into the expansion, right? There has to be a new mech, 3 new tiles, 3 new cards.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to make sure that you have the actions that you need.
Right.
Because you could get a really
true.
bad flip, and I was like, there was only 1 tile that had that action.
The entire game.
Right, I can see that's why you have the base ones that are flipped up, face up, and you make sure that you have the tiles that are needed for the game.
It could be like these 3 you always have to play with, and then these 6
I don't think
you
replace one of these with one
Sure.
of these. Everything. Yeah.
But just a little bit more variability.
All right, number 3, Ryan.
We've been waiting.
Well, I was going to say the theme I don't feel like is very strong.
Okay.
But we kind of talked about that. So instead, I'm going to talk about, the asymmetrical, I don't think it's an even playing field.
Okay, yeah, because some...
So like some of the mech abilities I feel like are way more powered.
Yeah.
Being able to get the 5 cards of a type that are tucked.
Yeah.
Or, especially in a 5-player game, the one you had, the Marsh Strider, getting that extra space when you're all clogged up.
It is nice. And some cards really work well with certain mech abilities. So if you can find, like one time we played and you had the one that went to 4, and there was a card that said like getting a coin for everyone you passed over.
Yeah, I'll just pass through 3 people.
I was like,
3 coins.
Yeah, I was like, oh, where's that card for me?
Yeah. So, but again, that goes with my first point, or second, I don't know, the luck.
Yeah.
So are we going into final thoughts?
I think we're due final thoughts.
I liked the art before Scythe was a thing. I went into Scythe, thought it was overhyped. I went into this thinking, oh, it's going to be more. And I was like, oh, this is actually a great game. I want to own this game.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So even though Ryan had the negatives, the dislikes,
Yeah.
he wants to own this one.
Yeah. So higher on your list than Scythe.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually probably would say the same thing. I'm not sure what it was about Scythe that I didn't really dislike it. It wasn't the type of game where I was like, I gotta go back and play it some more. Mm-hmm. And I do feel like this, and maybe it's because I'm hoping to get lucky next time, but I do feel like this one pulled me in because I was like, inside it was like, okay, I definitely should try this other strategy. In this one, it's like, I don't even know what strategy is coming out of the box. I don't even have an idea necessarily. I just know that I'm looking for cards that are going to work really well together, and I think that challenge is going to give me more replayability.
I will say, there are some strategies that definitely don't work, and one of them that I tried was going after quests first, and I had, like, most of my quests almost done, and I was like, they don't really help you, like, progress in the game.
Engine build.
Because you're tucking cards at the top, the right, and the bottom, and those quest cards give you a little benefit, but like items, like they're an ongoing benefit that are helping you throughout. So if you can get some really good items, that can really help you throughout the whole game, where a quest is just like a one-time benefit.
And then the meteorites are giving you lots of coins, which are the points. So if you can get a good combination of those can be really helpful.
And when you meld the meteorites, some cards look at how many you've melded and give you a benefit whenever you do their core value.
Okay.
So meteorites are definitely like an early mid thing you want to try to do.
They lure you in with those quests, and it's don't go that way.
Yeah, I think the quests are the like rookie mistake
The
of
red
like,
herring or
oh, the
something.
quests are my multiplier, so I need to make sure that I have them so my stars are worth more points at the end, but they're not giving you, like you said,
It's more
any
like,
of that
make it convenient.
engine.
When you were going to go there anyway,
Yeah.
then fulfill that
It's
quest.
not giving you any of that engine building aspect, so here are some strategy tips.
Another strategy tip is trying to be as efficient as possible too. Like you're like, oh, I need to take this type of, I need to upgrade. Well, instead of just going back to the same tile to upgrade, go vanquish at a place that you know can upgrade, and then as you're vanquishing, you can take that upgrade action. So you're doing some like extra things on one turn. So you're being a little bit more efficient. I think that's the key to being a little bit more, a little better at the game.
The other thing that I think I learned from Ryan, though, because when we played last time, he was like, why am I Like, he commented each time that he refreshed that he was, like, wasting a turn. However, it seems like his next turn was twice as efficient. I mean, you still crushed it score-wise.
I didn't want to be refreshing that early, but it was the best option at the time because all my other options were horrible.
Right. But sometimes you got to do that. Like, it may feel like a waste, but it actually may make your next turn more efficient. And so don't be afraid to refresh as needed.
So, okay, final thoughts. I really enjoyed Expeditions. I also enjoy Scythe. I especially enjoy Scythe with the Rise of Fenris campaign,
modules.
and then the modules that you can add in afterwards. I love variability. I love trying to try new strategies. So this game, even though it does have a little bit of the swinginess of you might get the things you need or you might not, I enjoy the challenge. I enjoy that it's different and new and exciting each time. So I enjoyed Expeditions.
I also enjoyed Expeditions.
Let us know if you enjoy Expeditions, or maybe you haven't played that one yet. We'd love to know what your rating is on Scythe. Let us know where you think about that one. And then let us know, are you anticipating this more, less, in between? What are your thoughts? We'd love to hear from you guys. We'd love to answer you in the comments. We'd love to see you guys in the next video soon. So be sure to subscribe, follow, like, all those great things. And we'll catch you in the next one.
I'm kidding. You can join us at Dice Tower Con, and we'll have this, Dice Tower East, we'll have this there. So if you're going to be there, come play Expeditions with us. Although, I don't know.
Is it going to fit in the bag?
Yeah, that's the other, I don't know if I'm
One more dislike.
One more dislike. This is a weird size
And
box.
it's not the same size as Scythe.
Oh, no.
So they're not even looking good on the shelf together.
No, it's like, it's
The
not
dislikes
even...
are coming
fit
out
in
fast
the
in the
couch?
outtakes.
No. I mean, maybe this way.
Out.
Yeah,
Ryan's like changing my
You could probably fit it sideways
It would
like
fit
this
there.
and then
Oh, yeah.
Slide it all the way against the wall. Yeah.